about the Anti-Apartheid Movement.
Racial segregation in South Africa existed long before the apartheid came to power. But the beginning of the apartheid government is marked by the election of the Afrikaner National Party, which won the 1948 general election. Their campaign slogan was apartheid, which directly translates into apartness in Afrikaans. Many consider this the first time a campaign was openly racist in its views, though definitely not the first campaign that was, at heart, racist. As soon as they came into power, they quickly began creating laws to further oppress the native and colored people and uphold their promise of the apartheid. This lasted for over 45 years, but during that time, many strong voices spoke up and were heard. One person we all recognize is Nelson Mandela. But today, we are not here to talk about those who protested in the streets, but rather the people who wrote immensely influential pieces of literature and journalism that revealed the heinous crimes the apartheid government allowed. We want to share with you the contributions of 4 amazing people whose writing changed the public opinion.
This is the Anti-Apartheid Movement in writing.
One of the most influential writers during the apartheid was Ruth First. Her parents, being 2 of the founding members of the Communist Party of South Africa, exposed First to the world of politics at an early age and may have led to her strong political opinions as an adult. She attended the Witwatersrand University in Johannesburg along with Nelson Mandela and Joe Slovo, and many other important people in the anti-apartheid movement. After graduating, one of her first jobs was a journalist for The Guardian, a liberal newspaper that opposed the apartheid. She wrote many analytical reports about controversial topics such as the terrible conditions in the slums or slave-like conditions many non-white workers had to endure. The Guardian was banned twice and was reborn as the New Age, with First still an important figure in its survival. In 1953, she helped form the Congress of Democrats, which was a small, mainly white sector of the multiracial Congress Alliance which opposed the apartheid. First edited a journal called The Fighting Talk, which supported the Congress Alliance. She was banned from publishing after the treason trial in 1956, though her activism did not waver. In 1963, she was arrested under the 90-day detention law and interrogated about the anti-apartheid movement. Soon after being released, she fled to London, but even being in exile could not stop her from writing about her experiences in South Africa. First wrote 117 Days, an account of confinement and interrogation under the South African 90-day detention law, which was written based on her own experience in prison. She began working at a university in Mozambique in 1977. Sadly, she was assassinated in 1982 by a parcel bomb sent specifically to her by the South African government. Ruth First was truly a remarkable woman whose writings were potentially the most influential pieces of journalism of the time. Dennis Brutus was an amazing poet and played an important role in the anti-apartheid movement. He was born in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, but he was raised in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. In 1961, he was banned from teaching, public speaking, and attending political meetings because of the suppression of communism, which banned any talk or teaching of political, economical, or industrial change. This act was enraging to him and inspired action. He decided to break the rules and go to the International Olympic Committee. But this decision was not what made him famous. As he attempted to travel to the location of the committee, he was arrested, shot in the back, and then later sentenced to 18 months hard labor. While in jail, he wrote many poems, such as Letters to Martha, and other collections from a South African prison. He often wrote under the pseudonym John Bruin, to avoid having his works be banned in South Africa. Dennis Brutus was instrumental in the end of the apartheid, both with his bold actions and his collections of memories so beautifully laid out on paper for others to enjoy and share in the sorrow. Bessie Head had much to write about when it comes to the hardships of the apartheid. She was born in a mental asylum on July 6, 1937. Her mother was white and her father was black, which was illegal at the time. Her mother was to be kept at the asylum, and Bessie was rejected by other relatives because she looked black, so she was bounced around in foster care, never finding a permanent home. In 1959, she began her career as a journalist for the Drum magazine. The next year, she moved to Cape Town and joined a group of anti-apartheid activists. There she worked on a magazine called The New African. Her writings were not approved by the government, so she fled to Botswana. There she wrote many novels, such as When Rain Clouds Gather, Maru, and A Question of Power. These books were not very welcome in South Africa, but for the select few who could get their hands on them, they provided hope and comfort. In her writing, she drew from all the hardships she encountered in her childhood. Bessie Head gave the world a real-life perspective on the apartheid. Alan Paton brought worldwide attention to the apartheid. He was well educated in his youth, and after college he had many jobs to help people struggling under the apartheid. But his biggest contribution to the anti-apartheid movement was his book, Cry the Beloved Country. It is about Reverend Stephen Kumalo, who travels to Johannesburg to help his sister who has fallen ill. It sold more than 15 million copies all around the world. This book was turned into a movie twice. This heartfelt story brought worldwide attention to the struggles of the apartheid and sparked groups around the world to help. These four people undoubtedly contributed to the end of the apartheid. It may have taken decades, but eventually all laws made by the apartheid used to separate the